Showing you how to guarantee complete dealership growth via a blended BDC is Joni Brown, President of Owner Connect. Please give her a warm welcome.
Hi, I'm Joni Stuker Brown, and I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak at the convention. I'm very excited to be here. It's important that I give a little background about myself. I have been a communication consultant to the auto industry for 30 years. When I say that out in the public world and I'm training, I have some of the young kids look at me like, oh my gosh, longer than you've been alive. So it's been a long journey. I have had the great opportunity to work with different organizations outside the industry, such as Robbins Brothers Jewelers, which I did all their training for communication skill, NASCAR. So what I learned is that no matter what industry we're in, communication, what we say, how we say it is so very important. And a lot of times the things we don't say and what happens from that. So introduction of, I think, where we are today in our world is very important. To understand that today BDC is Business Development Center, but how did we end up with BDCs? Because back 30 years ago, we didn't have anything like that. It was maybe attention to a phone up. And I used to do this training, and what would happen is that a dealer would send his salespeople to a workshop, and they would go and they would embrace, they'd go back to the dealership, and then they wouldn't use any of the training. And then the dealer would get upset because they'd phone shop, their people were awful. Then he'd yell at the manager, and then the manager would yell at the salespeople, and on and on and on. So we blamed each other. We then evolved to things called phone rooms. And a phone room was really, I thought, one of my best ideas. It didn't work very well, but I thought it was a good idea. So a phone room meant that if you were a salesperson and you were not with a customer, then you were on the phone. So it was a work ethic. And I thought that was so smart. And there's a dealer who I shall not name his name, but he believed just like I did. And he had 6 stores. And I bring it up to you because I'll never forget the day. We brought in all of the salespeople and the sales managers into a big room together. And the dealer and I were at the stage at front. And he looked at everybody and he said, today is a new day at our dealership. Moving forward, if you're not with a customer, you will be on the phone in the phone room. And if you don't like it, there's the door. So guess what happened? Everybody left. The whole room cleared out, including all of his sons that were all the managers. So I remember looking at him and saying, wow, that didn't go so well. The my way, the highway thing just doesn't work. So I don't want to sound like I'm slow here, but guess what? I finally thought, I call it my light bulb moment. Why don't I just put phone people into phone positions? It just made it so much more effective. And therefore was the birth of a BDC. So 30 years, that's a long time. I do training and on-site facilitating, which is great because, there's a difference when you work with people that actually walk the walk. And one of my favorite things to do is really helping people on the phone. I don't want to spend any more time on me because, quite frankly, this workshop is not about me. It's really about helping you and how you can succeed and grow today when you walk out of the door. So, communication history, as I said, in the auto industry, we now are all working through, the majority of us, with a phone support concept. And what does that mean? It's talking about effectively working a customer database. It's getting away from things such as, when are we going to get more leads? I need more leads to sell. It's not about that. It's about cultivating your years of hard work in your database. But it starts with a strong foundation. And let's take a look at it. BDC means so many different things to a lot of different people. And what I observe out there is that most stores do not have a BDC. They have what I call a BMC. And let me tell you the difference. BMC is business managing their leads as opposed to developing. I take, for example, an inbound sales call at your dealership, and I put full focus on that inbound sales call. My goal is to get the consumer to commit to come in to see us. When you end that call, we also prospect. Keep in mind, a BDC center is about prospecting. So if you have currently a BDC, I want you to truly think about that. If you're doing the majority of your lead generation through your BDC is simply handling internet and phone up, you're not developing leads, which means you will not grow and you won't see the growth that you had hoped or you seek. So take a quick quiz. And I don't care if you want to raise your hand, but think. Currently, when you take an inbound internet lead in your dealership, at the end of that conversation, do you ask for a referral? Raise your hand if you do. Most people do not. All right. If you take an inbound sales call, at the end of the call, do you ask for a referral? I'm going to say 9 out of 10, maybe 99 out of 10 would say no. Raise your hand if you do. Unsold showroom traffic. Consumer leaves your dealership and you follow up right away. At the end of that call, do you ask for a referral? Now, some of you I know are probably thinking, whoa, 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 that's putting, what's the old saying, the cart before the horse. I want you to sit back for a moment and think about it. What's the number one reason to ask for a referral? Now, I know what you're going to say, to get a lead. Actually, that's a secondary reason. The primary reason to ask for a referral is it's a PR statement. It's advertising. And you have to think, a consumer shops, 10, 12 dealerships online, 15? They call 5, 6 stores. How do you separate yourself from all the other people? And I'm telling you, it's not about money, because we can't give away our cars, all right? Pricing, pricing, pricing. So somehow you have to stand out, and you have to stand out positively. So I suggest very strongly the way that you end your conversation, the way that you end those calls, is you ask for a referral, because you make a PR statement about yourself. Think about it. Bob Peterson calls into your store, right? He's just shopped 3 other Chevy dealerships on a Malibu. And at the end of your call, you say, you know what, Bob, before you go, I need to ask you for a small favor. Here at ABC Chevy, we pride ourselves in getting most of our business from repeat referral customers. What kind of a dealership is that? Strong, confident, capable. Where do people want to buy a car from? So keep in mind, it's not about getting a lead. I really don't care about getting a lead. It's about standing up. And we have to do that. Do you know, I recently did a training class with 33 BDC managers, and not one of them was a prospector. And that, my friend, is a problem. Watch it and decide, what is your cornerstone in your BDC missing? And I'm going to guarantee you it's going to be the prospecting side. BDC, Business Development Center. That's what the purpose is, and the focus is supposed to be. So let's talk about foundation. Some of this is going to be very radical. Some of you have BDCs and you're going to think, no way. But I can tell you, this is the best formula. Part-time callers. Now, I have a lot of people that will say, Joni, you're wrong. People want full-time work. Actually, in America especially, we're looking for full-time wages with part-time jobs, okay? We want part-time hours. And there's a huge group of people that you're attempting to hire in that would love this opportunity. So I know this. A part-time caller is going to work at a higher level of efficiency. And that's what we need. What I found is that when people were working 8 hours, they actually were scheduled for 8, they worked for 6 and coasted for 2. So we need to look at part-time callers. Also, on a retail floor, there's a big problem with being territorial. In other words, a salesperson is always saying things like, why'd you call my customer? That's my lead. Why'd you call my customer? Territorial. What I found in BDCs that were staffing full-time, you'll have the same territorial problem. You'll have the same thing occurring in your BDC where a rep is saying, why did Mary call my internet lead? That's mine. So you don't want to duplicate it. Just think about the things on your retail floor that you don't like that happens, and don't duplicate them in your BDC. So, for example, I'm a part-time rep. I leave today. My shift ends at 3 o'clock. Should my hot lead stay in my daily queue in my work plan? No way. What they should do is they should transfer to a person who works the evening shift. Therefore, as a dealer, you now have 12 hours of someone attempting to contact and appoint your leads and referral your leads. Makes so much more sense. How about this? Marianne, your BDC rep, is off on Tuesdays. What should her hot leads be doing on Tuesday? Should they stay in her daily work plan till she returns on Wednesday? No. They should what? Be actively engaged with who's ever there and on shift. Much higher level of efficiency, and that's what we need. You don't want that downtime. Let's say that a salesperson, Peter, is off on Tuesday, and a consumer calls in your dealership looking for Peter today. Where should that call go? It should go through BDC, because we are an appointment setting team, and we are lead generations. Avoid being territorial. Your process should be, if, for example, I leave a good news message for Bob Smith, I leave my shift. Bob Smith calls back in the evening. Never remessage. Whoever takes that call should set that appointment, and they should keep it. So you need your BDC to be competitive, because remember, what goes around comes around. So we don't want to see BDC team members going, well, I made the appointment for Mary because Mary left the message. It's not about that. I had someone ask me the other day, he said, so what about, how do you disperse your leads? Do you round robin your leads? I said, kids, you can't do that. You can't say, you know what, Mary, you're an underperforming rep, potentially going to be fired, so we're going to give you the same fair share as the person that's a high performer. So we have to be careful. Make your BDC team, as I said, being a competitive arena. Watch the consequences of being off. Keep your leads flowing through the team as they're there, and never remessage. So how do we staff this? How does it work? First, when you go and you recruit out a BDC rep, please do yourself a favor. Don't hire and secure until they go through training. My gosh, after all these years, I'm really good at interviewing and screening, but the difference between being trained and put into live action is night and day. So as a dealer, when you walk out, if you are, for example, going to hire in, say, 2 callers, I strongly suggest that you bring and invite 3 or 4 for training. Of course, you compensate for training. Just don't offer them the position until they go through skill set. Again, it's very, very different to go from teaching and role-playing to actually making those live calls. Understand this. What do you think is the most important quality of a strong BDC rep? Okay, I know we're thinking, first off, reliability is huge. Come to work on time, all those things. They have to be flexible. The most important quality of a BDC rep who's strong is their openness to prospecting. In other words, if they themselves wouldn't give a referral or be comfortable with that whole activity, they probably are not going to be comfortable to ask. And it's a great way to find out when you're interviewing is to say to this person, hey, let's say that you phoned into a dealership today. All right, you're calling in as a customer, and at the end of the call, somebody asked you for a referral. Would you give a lead? And watch the reaction. If that human being says, oh, I wouldn't be comfortable to do that, I wouldn't hire them because they're going to have a hard time getting over themselves with that activity. And you're probably thinking you wouldn't give a referral, would you? Okay. But do you know what? Like I said, there's nothing right or wrong. It's just that there are open-minded people and there are more guarded people. Right? I call into a consumer and I say, ring, ring, hi, is this Mary? Yes. Hey, Mary, did I catch you at a bad time? Open people go, no, what's going on? They don't even question who it is. Guarded people would say what? Well, who is this? Right? And super guarded people would say, from where? So the walls go up. Just remember, when you're staffing your BDC, you do not want guarded people. That would be a problem because they will have a problem prospecting. Now, I know some of you are thinking, boy, I don't even know if I would do that, but it's important. Right interviewing questions, obviously open-minded. As I said, flexibility. We're running part-time shifts, which means if you're a dealership and you're from 9 to 9 open, you're going to run 9 to 3 and 3 to 9. And you don't want to hire in people that are only daytime or only evening. If you think about it, then they're always going to call the same people the same time of day, which is an interesting question. I want to ask you. What's the most important phone number to gather from a consumer today? I know you're all thinking cell phones. I mean, I always hear that cell phone, cell phone. Well, here's the problem with cell phone. And please, I love cell phones. I know we need that number. But what we tend to miss out on is the most important phone number today is work. Because why? It's where people are. So you think about it. I'm sitting in a BDC center and I'm working 9 to 3. And I have 0 work numbers, I'm going to spend most of my time doing what? Messages. Also, this happens all the time. You get a fresh internet lead. It just came through 2 minutes ago. You pick up your phone, you call the lead, your customer answers the phone, you're so excited, right? And you're like, hi, Bob, did I catch you at a bad time? And Bob responds, stop calling me. You people keep calling me. And you're thinking, who people? Me people? I just made the call. You know why? Because everybody calls cell phone. So the cell phones blow up. You have no alternative. Work number is the most important one. And also because remember, an effective BDC is forward thinking. We're always forward thinking. So I know this. I'm trying to reach Craig Davis, who's at work. And I leave a voicemail for Craig, right? But Peggy answered the phone. Peggy didn't ride a horse to work. Peggy has a car. And guess what? Probably nobody that takes care of her automotive needs. Peggy's an opportunity. See, car salespeople, we're always worried about, okay, I'll make the phone call, but they better be buying a car soon, as if our time was so at limit. BDC isn't worried about that. So I talk to Peggy, and I say, Peggy, did I catch you at a bad time? You know what? I work over at ABC Ford. Are you familiar with this? What kind of car do you drive? Is there any way that I could help you? Well, let's say Peggy says, no, I'm not interested. That's okay. Not a problem. If you ever need any help, I'm there for you. Bingo. So work is most important. I want you to do yourself a favor and think about it. If you log in your CRM right now and you look at your daily appointments, what percentage of your appointments actually have a work number? And I'm going to guess none, or very, very, very few. Look at your unsold showroom traffic. What percentage of your traffic that visited your showroom and left without buying, do you have a work phone number on? I bet very few, very few. So be forward thinking. That work opportunity number is huge for you. And it separates you, again, to at least not get kicked out of a call because their cell phone's been blown up by other stores. So work number. Now, I know you're thinking, some people don't want to be called at work, right? So some people are going to say, hey, I don't want to give you my work number. We need to have a rebuttal. We need to have something to say. So when and if you do, and I know you will, get hit by that, what I want you to respond is, really, where do you work? What do you do for a living? In other words, some people will say to you, I don't want to give you my work number because I can't take a call at work because of the job that I have. So let's say the customer says, you know, really, where do you work? And he goes, well, I'm a dentist, so I just can't grab a call if you phone me. Then forward thinking, I'm going to say, great, so if I need to reach you when you're at work, I will simply leave you a voicemail at work. Therefore, when you get a break, Mr. Dentist, you can call me back. Now, don't kid yourself. If a person said, you can't call me at work, I'll get in trouble, we're not going to call. I'm not going to do that. But we have to. Your BDC team has to be a driving force, and you have to do things very different than what the floor does. So we want to locate and sustain high impact reps, and I can show you how you do that. Real simple. So setting a new hire training class, this is how you should block out. The first day of training should always be focused initially on the prospecting element. What you teach first is most important. And then you move through what we always consider to be 3 days of core skill training. And by day 4 and day 5, it's hands-on live assist to transition and make sure what we teach is put in motion. Now, I know I'm very radical about compensation plans because I'm the only one that seems to believe this, but please follow my lead. It's so important. It's so important. BDC reps, we all know that they get an hourly wage. But bonuses, what should we do? Now, we believe that a BDC rep should get bonused for sold only, not for setting an appointment, not for show an appointment. And I know an awful lot of you out there are probably paying that way. And I want you to just think it through. I have never met a dealer in 30 years that's excited to give a bonus check for someone to bring in people they couldn't sell a car to. It doesn't make sense. Also, I feel like it's a false sense of accomplishment. So what we're doing is we're building a conflict between the floor. And don't kid yourself, salespeople know how BDCs get paid. They do. And I've seen sales team process break down just because they go, oh, great, it's a BDC appointment coming in the door. Mary brought him in because she gets $10. So they don't even sell as strong as they should or could. I feel like we should all be on the same mission. It's about getting the opportunity in the door and they purchase. And boy, oh boy, guess what? If you feel right now that you have some division between your floor, okay, to the BDC, it's going to be tight on things like that. So change it. Why not pay for sold only? Oh, and how about this? Why don't we pay higher for self-generated solds? Where would your focus be? So I take an inbound sales call. I do everything I can, full attention to that opportunity. They commit, they come in, they buy, I get a bonus. Awesome, but not a large bonus. Because I always say that's a much easier opportunity to appoint because they're actively shopping. But on that phone up, at the end of that call, I ask them who else they know that I can help. And they give me their mother. And their mother comes in and she buys. Now pay greater for that because that's called self-generation. And that's what your attention needs to be. And when you do that, you watch the growth your dealership will experience. It's phenomenal. So, key ingredients is self-development. And what are those categories? Equity, service customers. 50% of the people in your database never bought a car from you, and vice versa. So you have to have a phone prospector that's going to reach in and create and cultivate. I know you must get frustrated by the fact that you're constantly fighting price. I was in a BDC recently. I mean, the BDC reps looked so worn down. They were so tired of hearing, I want your best price. I already have 10 other prices. I'm not coming in until I get the best price. And I swear the BDC reps were like, we're done with this. I told them, I said, then create a better up. You have it all around you. Create a better opportunity. Now, if you leave here and you haven't taught them how to do that, shame on you, because they need to have the skill set. But provide them that skill set, put attention to it, and understand. Now you start bringing people into the market before they've got 15 prices from 15 stores. Like back in the old days, the fun days. So BDC reps, pay greater for self-generated sold, but please pay sold only and watch the difference. BDC managers, whatever you pay on base, it's totally market driven in my opinion, experience driven, but your bonuses should come for a manager from 3 categories. And number 1, it's each rep that performs to standard in that month. And we'll break it down together what standard is and should be. So I get paid for every rep who performs to standard. Because you want to be careful. If your current BDC manager gets paid because of, let's just say, a targeted goal. So I want my BDC to sell 100 cars this month. We sold 100, I get a bonus. Ooh, careful. What if 3 of the reps subpar performed? What if 3 reps had a terrible month, but we got lucky with a couple others? So an effective management pay plan has attention to each person and ensuring that they have a successful day, a successful month. Also, a BDC manager should be compensated a bonus for show ratio. Monthly show ratio of our appointments, making sure that no less than half of the appointments that commit will show up and come in the door. So that means that if I'm your manager, I'm going to make sure they're quality appointments, which is huge. It's credibility. Also, every time I get my rep to ask for that referral and keep that prospecting motion in place, when that lead comes in and buys, that self-generated lead, I also get a bonus as well. So now think about it. I'm going to care that each rep is succeeding. I'm going to care that my appointments are strong and quality. And I'm going to care about the fact that we are prospectors. Because remember, we're not a BMC, we're a BDC. So, think about your goals currently in your BDC team right now. I'm going to guess that, what are your dials? You have a dial objective. Most people would say, I want my callers to dial the phone at least 80 to 100 times if they're full-time reps. That's what I hear a lot. The problem is, if you're currently saying the call objective is a flat number, say 100 dials or 80 dials, what happens is this. You're going to end up with most people probably dialing about 60 times, falling short, and trying to catch up at the end of their shift. Happens all the time. It's kind of like how retail car salespeople are. They don't sell anything until the 25th of the month. Everybody starts running around. So that's what's on the floor. Don't duplicate that in your BDC. What you should be doing is managing by hour. So we set hourly objectives, and they are as such. So let's jot it down. 17 dials, 3 contacts, 1 appointment. That's your goal and objective. What's really funny, turn it. Don't set a day objective. Set an hourly. When you do that, the BDC rep suddenly values every minute of the 60, which is huge. And guess what? When you sit back and you talk to, even if it's in an interview or you're talking with a rep and said, hey, you have to dial the phone 100 times every day. That sounds like a lot, doesn't it? You get a lot of people going like, 100 times? I have dealers going, do we have 100 people to call every day? But if I turn to you and say, you have to dial the phone 17 times, watch the difference. My reaction's always the same. They're like, oh, I can do 17. It's so funny. Because at the end of the day, 6 hours, it's 102. But we don't work that way. We work an hour. And what I love is this. I'm going to hit my 17 all day long. The goal is 3 contacts and 1 appointment. So an effective BDC manager, you watch that and you move that rep. So if Mary is dialing the phone and she's got the dial down, but halfway through her hour, she hasn't had the contact rate, change the source. We have to be much more engaged. It's a funny story, but I had a dealer ask me to come over to his store and just observe his BDC. He's like, something's not working, Joni. So I arrived. The BDC was upstairs. We got there, and I am not kidding you. We go into the BDC, and it was literally dark. The lights were off. I'm like, what's going on? And the dealer whispers, he goes, The BDC manager prefers to work in the dark. I said, okay. So I flipped on the lights. I said, you're out of here, sir. But at the end of the day, a BDC manager must be engaged. They have to be watching and caring that what? We hit our 17, 3, and 1. Okay? 30 minutes into the hour. This is all it takes. 17 dials. 3 contacts. Takes 30 minutes of their hour. So that gives them the other 30 minutes to do what? Live chat, text, emails. So there's plenty of time. It's crazy. Here we go. There's your breakdown. 14 messages. It's about a minute each. 3 live calls, 5 minutes. That's 30 minutes of the 60. Who can't do that? So, blended BDC. I bet if I asked you right now, do you have a service BDC and a sales BDC? Are they separate? Are you working one-dimensionally and trying to get to the other side eventually? It's a problem. When you leave here, please keep in mind, when a selling lead goes cold, what do you do with it? If a person said, you know what, I'm not going to buy a car for a year, I just changed my mind, and there's nothing you can say to change it back, what do you do with that lead? I bet most of you dead it or future it. And then you reapproach it later trying to what? Sell them again. Talking about sales, sales, sale. Don't do that. It makes no sense. We believe that sales and service and parts all works together. So if I am a BDC rep and my selling lead goes cold, here's what you do. Don't stay one-dimensional, trying to convince Peter to buy a car. Remember, there's an average of 3 drivers in the household in the United States. So find out if the lead shift. They shift all the time. Great example. Bob Peterson comes to your dealership on Saturday. He's sincerely interested in buying a vehicle. He leaves without buying, but he tells you, I'll be back on Monday with my wife. I'm sold. Salesperson's very excited, puts notes in CRM, believes he's going to be back with the wife. Monday morning, BDC calls to confirm that appointment time. Right then, the consumer says, yeah, I've changed my mind. I'm not going to buy anything for at least 6 months. Now we do what? We start the panic sale mode, right? Why? Trying to convince them. Don't do that. Follow my lead. Household prospect. How many drivers in your household and how many vehicles? And of the drivers, who's most likely to be in the market next? Because see, here's what happened behind the scenes. He was sincerely interested in buying that Malibu. He loved it. He went out to dinner with his wife Saturday night and said, honey, we're going to go Monday and I'm going to pick up that Malibu. It's beautiful. And she says, you're not getting a car. All right? You're not. All right? Our son's graduating from college. He's going to need a vehicle. So he's before you. That's what happened behind the scenes. But what do? We tend to be one-dimensional. We tend to keep working so hard to get him convinced to buy that Malibu as opposed to seeing if the lead shifted. So use my skill set when you leave. Household prospect. If the customer says, I'm not going to do anything for 6 months, say, not a problem. How many drivers, how many vehicles, who is most likely going to buy? If you would do that, he would have responded, my son. We're going to get a car for my son. You would have had an opportunity as opposed to deading, futuring, and staying with this one person. It's huge. Watch your BDCs. Watch your sales associates. Make sure you do that. Never, ever, ever dead a customer. Never. Unless they're dead. Never dead a customer. So let's say that Bob Turner never buys a car from you. But every 90 days you should call him for what? Service. So if he never buys, but every 90 days I call and say, hey, do you have any service needs? When's the last time you had an oil change? I'm from customer care. What can I do to help you? BDC is not about, well, what's in it for me? It's not about that. It's saying, hey, if this gentleman never buys from us, but every 90 days, somebody's calling from customer care and saying, how may I help you? And who else do you know that I can help? What kind of an impact will that have out in the world? It's huge. He goes out to dinner with friends. He's going, hey, did anybody ever buy a car from ABC Ford? I have never bought one, but customer care calls me every 90 days. It's amazing. The dealership I bought from doesn't call me. So remember, we have limitations on the floor. We all know that. Don't create or duplicate that limitation in BDC. Never dead a customer, right? And don't future for sales only. Blend your BDC for service and for sales from the beginning point. Don't do something like, well, we're going to work on this part first and then later we'll get over to service. No, because you're constantly speaking with people that say, I don't want to buy, right? I'm not going to buy, or I just bought. Those are the things we hear in BDC constantly. So keep them active, as I said, every 90 days. Every 90 days, reach back out to see how we can help. Not how we can sell, but how we can help. That's a difference. Right? Cross-train on both. Think about it. You call into a dealership and you're looking to speak to somebody in service to set a service appointment. What's the first thing we tend to do? Put them on hold, okay, and then try to transfer through. And that is so frustrating. Or I'm speaking to someone, right, in the dealership. Let's say I was talking about buying. Now I'm not going to buy, but I do need an oil change. Whoop, put them on hold and try and transfer the call. Make it unified, right? Your BDC team should be more than capable of setting a service appointment or sales appointment. So again, I'm in charge of your household needs. Now, big argument out there all the time about things like, should I have my salespeople call or should I have a BDC? There's a lot of dealers that get very frustrated. They're like, Joni, I don't want to have to hire people to do a salesperson's job. All right? And I've always said to them, kudos, because I agree. The problem is it doesn't work. It doesn't work consistently. However, what I found, though, is now we've almost eliminated sales, which I don't agree with. The only way that your store will really grow to its potential is that everybody has to get better. And I can't think of anything positive going through a salesperson's mind on the 25th of the month when he's got 5 cars out and he was hoping to do 12. Nothing good is happening. So what should we do? I would definitely keep my salespeople involved and engaged in BDC. I think you need to set a standard where, hey, if your goal is to sell 12 and you're not pacing it by the end of the first week, in the second week, in the third week, please have that salesperson or salespeople come and work in BDC. Set aside specific time periods for a salesperson so they don't feel like they're in trouble. Kind of like, well, you're failing, go in the BDC. Don't do that. Make it a positive where we can work together. So that salesperson, think about the impact they have. Wow. They're sitting there having a very bad month, very bad day. It's just not going well. And now I work and I go into the BDC where I'm hearing things like, what? How soon would you like to come in? Who else do you know that we can help? Productivity, activity breeds activity, doesn't it, guys? It always has. Haven't you ever gone to a sporting event? Maybe you had too many beers and all of a sudden you're doing the wave. Woo, this is awesome. You got to create a wave. And you have to remember that salesperson is not growing. They're dying out there. If you look at our model by managing by every minute, a BDC rep part-time is going to sell 20 cars. The average salesperson, 50 hours in a store sells 10? What's the difference? It's working effectively and managing by minutes. Highly suggest this. Great idea. Start your new salespeople in BDC. Set them on a 90-day plan. Think what you would be creating. The first 30 days, new salesperson works entirely in the BDC, learning what? Heavy lifting. Okay? How to develop leads from people that we haven't talked to in 4 years. Not fun, but it can happen. Anything that they generate, that does come in the door and buys, they get paid like a BDC rep. The next month, anybody that they get in the door, they should shadow and see what selling's about. And what you're doing is you're teaching them how to sell a car backwards. When it comes to the third month, anybody that they set, they would be taught road to the sale, and they would be able to go out and sell that car. But they work from BDC. What kind of a salesperson are you creating? Totally different individual, aren't we? Than the guy that comes in going, okay, what do you want me to do? Okay, I'm here. I've always said, it's bad. I've always said there'll never be a bring a son or daughter to work day for some car salespeople, because at the end of 12 hours, little Jimmy on the way home is still saying, I still don't get it, Dad. What do you do for a living? Okay? So that's important that we cultivate a different group. It's critical. Teach them how to sell a car backwards. When they walk out of that BDC after 90 days, they will be shining on that floor. Let's face it. Blend sales and service. Another huge point. How many of your sales managers actually have participated in your BDC? How many of them spent any time in there? Do they even know what's being said? Left hand, right hand. It's so important. It's so important. And it's funny because I think about it, and it's just an absolute correlation between dealers that will grow 5% and dealers that will grow 50% and 70%. I mean, I've seen some amazing, but that's because everybody gets better. Service advisors, shouldn't they be trained? Shouldn't they be held accountable for communication skills? Absolutely. Everybody gets better. So here's a great kick. Household ownership. A BDC rep that's effective takes care of that household's automotive needs. So not just the husband, right? Or not just the daughter. Because what we've always thought is if I do a good job with the daughter, then the other family members will come my way. No, it doesn't work like that. So we don't want to assume things. So I take care of the household needs. Let me show a great example. You will have hundreds of new customers every day for next to nothing, every month for next to nothing, if you follow this. In our industry, it is nothing new to hear that if you buy a car at most stores, a new car, you will get a free oil change, or 2, right? Or 3, whatever their package is. But again, that person, that sole customer, you already have them. Here's my strongest suggestion in this pocket. When you have a recent purchase, BDC should follow up within 72 hours. Within 72 hours, I'm going to call, introduce customer care or reintroduce it. I'm also going to thank them for their purchase, going to make sure they have their first oil change, and then I'm going to find out who the other drivers are in their household. And the word track goes like this. In appreciation of your recent purchase, I've been authorized to extend to your other drivers a free oil change. Wow, here we go. So, do you think you'll get the name of the daughter and the son and all that? Of course you will. It's a free oil change. What did you do? Come on, you work so smart. So I'm not just following the 100 people I sold. I got another 100 or 200 people, all for an oil change. So I pick up the phone, I call the daughter, and I say, hi, we're the dealership that helped your father with the purchase of that new truck. In appreciation, I get to give you an oil change. She says, awesome. Set up an oil change, find out down the road what she'd like to buy, and who does she know? Oh, because guess what? I'm forward thinking. I'm a prospector. So I'm going to ask, see that movement that happens? It's huge. Walking out here going, oh my gosh, you don't have to worry about, well, I need more budget to get more people because I don't have enough leads. The leads are all around you if you know how to cultivate them. So it's been a great job for most of us to say, hey, we actually call our sold customers, okay? We're actually following through with our sold. Pat on the back. But you're missing a huge part. So household prospect, you have other opportunities all around you. Okay. Build them every 90 days. Okay. Yeah, this is huge too. We have to educate throughout the dealership. Don't assume. Appointment selling is very different, right? Availability, very different. Consumer walks in the door and they go, hi, I have a VIP appointment. That means BDC set the appointment. I walk in the door and I go, and the salespeople are like, who's that? Hey, what's going on? We need to educate across the board. It's very, very important. Good story. So, a dealership that I will not name, but it was up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Cold, January, snow everywhere. This was an elderly couple that had an appointment. I was in the BDC. We made the appointment, and I bring it up that they were elderly because you had to almost shout for them to hear and understand. So when it came to the appointment time, I said, because your business is so important to us, I want you to come in and meet with my VIP manager. And the husband was so excited because he yelled to his wife, Harriet, we have a VIP appointment tomorrow. They were so excited. So I always play the game. I'm like, are they going to show or not? I thought, these people are going to show up. I knew it. So next day, their name's on the VIP board. The time of the appointment is set and passes, no show, because I'm looking in the CRM. I finally get a hold of them a few hours later, and I'll never forget it, because I said, sorry that we missed you. And he said to me, we will never buy a car from you. I went, oh wow. So what happened? He goes, oh, we showed up. Yeah, in fact, it probably took them 30 minutes to get from the car into the dealership. She's with a walker. The snow's everywhere. It was terrible. They make it in the door. They see their name on the board. And they go, wow, we have a VIP appointment. They were greeted by a salesperson. All sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Here's where it fell apart. They said, we have a VIP appointment today at 10:30. And the salesperson said, and I quote, that's just something they say to get you in the door. But we can help you. Educate throughout the store, please. Right? Left hand, right hand. Have them understand. Watch for things in your CRM when it says BDC do not call. Because that BDC do not call is a flag. That's saying, I don't believe. I don't know. And I'm telling you passionately that if your BDC team focuses so strongly on internet and phone up, you're creating a huge divide with your sales team. That sales team and sales management, they believe in their heart of hearts, if that's your main focus, they could have done it without you. And now we become conflicted. So you have to be a self-generator. I've never met anybody that wouldn't say, wow, you took a call that was a wrong phone number, right? You dialed trying to reach Peter, and the person says, there's nobody here by that name. What do you do in your BDC now? I'm going to guess you hang up the phone. What should you do? You should pursue. You don't know if that person is actually your hottest lead of the day. And what's the worst thing? I'm not interested. Bye. Oh, okay, life moves on. But boy, if I call that number and it's the wrong number and I talk to that person and she says, I'd love a new car. I get her in the door and she buys. Wow, what do you think your management team would think of that opportunity? It's huge. BDC, you have to be what we don't have. You've got to be that difference. You can't just be following a lead. Communication training. Don't just do this once. It's something that is repetitive. I know there's an awful lot of us that look at a salesperson and say, hey, they should set at least 1 or 2 appointments a day as well. Do they know how? Do we just assume it? Selling a car is very different than knowing how to pick up the phone and cold call. Very different. So do they have the skill set? The other thing, look in CRM. Do they have enough people to call? Because what I see a lot of stores have done is they've shifted. So every opportunity is sitting in BDC and the salespeople are going, oh, what do we do? So communicate training throughout. If I need 17 contacts to make 1 appointment and I'm a BDC rep, salesperson's probably going to need 35 to 40 to get 1 appointment because of the different skill set. So make sure when you leave, you look in CRM and look at what your salespeople have to call. And then be honest with yourself. Do they even know how to do it? And be careful. Be careful of those sales managers that go, I got it. Okay, I got 30 years in the business. Yeah, but do you really know what to say and how? Because it's a skill set. And I'm telling you, when you have the skill set, it rocks. So maximize your customer loyalty, through a referral process. BDC, left hand, right hand. So how does a dealer grow by 20%? How do they do that? Because it's not about buying, right? Remember, all of us, we have our VIP appointment boards. A lot of us are being taught that there needs to be at least 1 appointment per day per salesperson. Okay, that's your pulse. But in order to see 20% growth, 1/3 of your business must come from self-generation. So make note, when you leave and you're back in your store, it's not just about the volume. All right, and your BDC says we sold 100 cars last month. All right, I always ask the same thing. What percentage were self-gen? Because if they were all internet, you're not going to see the growth and you're not going to see gross profit the way you hope. So don't be so frustrated by the lack of it. Pull back the layers and see where we are. At least 1/3. I touched on that VIP appointment board. I strongly encourage you that when you run that on your showroom floor, whether it's digital or handwritten, whatever you do, indicate, maybe by a color coding, the different source. So if I have 20 appointments on the board today and 7 are self-generated, put them in green. Remember, if a referral walks in the door and buys, that's a 70-75% closing ratio. That's huge. Salespeople, they walk in, that's how they're motivated. Those are the appointments for the day. Next to one of the appointments in green is my name. I'm a salesperson. That car's already sold. But that's how we work together as a team. That's how we build that. And that's how dealers see 20%. I mean, I cannot stress it strongly enough that it's too easy for us to blame. It's too easy to pick apart. Let's just take a deep breath and start our focus to developing business. Run your VIP. Here's your sources. Self-gen again. It's referrals. It's service to sales. I'm hoping some of you are working through BDC to call tomorrow's service customers to remind them of their appointment. That's a great call. Anybody that has a vehicle that's 2014 or older, you should be asking them what? Obviously, making sure they got their time to come in, but then we would say, I'm going to remind you of your appointment and let you know we're providing with you a free trade appraisal. So you'll know the value of your vehicle. That's assuming, isn't it? Dealers sell 2-3 cars every week by that, just by having somebody put that in motion. It's huge. Okay, it's equity. It's past leads over 90 days. It's orphan donors. What's an orphan owner? Anybody know? What's an orphan? Orphan owner is somebody that bought a car from us in the past, but the salesperson's no longer employed there. You could call them and just be silly and say, good news, okay? I'm adopting you. Okay? Bad news, you're an orphan, but I got you. Right? So it's great. These are your opportunities around you. Okay. Reward self-gen. Okay, let's take a look at steps. How do you begin? If you currently have a BDC, make sure that 80% of your appointments that are set have a work number. If you have that, that means that your team is engaging and working through. All right? How do we get, that's a lot. How do you get 80%? Well, we believe in 100% TO, just like on your floor. Right? If you came into a dealership and you were leaving before you left without buying, a sales manager is supposed to say hello. That's been around forever. Now, on our world in BDC, an effective BDC manager does the same thing. So think about it. What's the toughest part of a BDC rep's job? The hardest part of their job is just getting somebody to talk to. That's the hardest part. When you don't have a work number, now it gets even more difficult. So, BDC manager, your job is to be up and engaged. I don't care if you have 2 reps or 10 reps, but when somebody is live on the phone, the most important thing you do is you get up and you move and you help. So if you have a rep that has a customer on the phone and they won't make an appointment, turn the call live. And we do that by saying, you know what, hold on, I've got a great idea. So we turn the call live. And that BDC manager jumps on the phone and says, hi, I'm Mary. I'm one of the customer care managers. Obviously, you have unanswered questions. You haven't made an appointment. How may I assist you? Take that call. You know and I know. Sometimes it's just a change of voice. Sometimes it's a person of authority. All of a sudden, boom, I got an appointment. Now, how excited would your BDC team be to know that you got my back, right? All I have to do is come to work on time, pick up the phone and start dialing my 17. I get somebody on the phone, I can't make an appointment, you're going to help me. That's huge. Teamwork, woo, camaraderie, leadership. Ooh, what's my big word? Ownership. That's what you have. You've got a BDC manager who goes, I'm not going to let you fail. We run what I consider to be an hourly reporting process as well. So if you have a BDC, go back, not only manage by hour, but at the top of each hour, I want you to stop and call out your numbers. It's huge. So 10 o'clock in the morning, we call out numbers. Peter, what do you have for dials? Peter says 15. He's in red. Peter, how many contacts? 2. He's in red. Appointment, 0. Red. What happened to Peter that hour? He had a bad hour, didn't he? He failed. Who's responsible for that? BDC manager. So it changes. Most importantly, it pulls my focus. I won't let Peter have a second bad hour because that's on me. And that's what we have to have. When you walk out of here, you need to improve and increase your ownership and your interaction. Anytime you speak to somebody live, can't make an appointment, turn it. If I make an appointment, live confirm it. Anybody in here raised Catholic? You were, huh? Okay. Awesome. Are you familiar with Catholic guilt? Okay, exactly. My mother still will say when I call her, well, hello, stranger. It just tears at your heart. So sorry. So, Catholic guilt alone. That's the reason why the show ratio will be strong when you live confirm. Visualize. So, okay, we'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow at 6 o'clock. You familiar with where we're located? I am. Awesome. Hey, my manager just walked by, wants to say a quick hello. Turn it to your manager. Manager says, thanks for making that appointment. When are you coming in to see us? Tomorrow at 6 o'clock. Awesome. We look forward to seeing you then. I just told 2 people I'm showing up. Catholic guilt alone. They show stronger because I told 2 people. It's true. Another huge point is that when that BDC manager takes over that call to live confirm, they also look for things like what? Do we have that work number? So there we got that backup. So I'm the BDC manager. Go, great. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow at 6. And by the way, this number 555-5555, is that your cell or your work? It's my cell for backup. What's your work number? So I'm going to make sure we get that number. So when you leave and you look at your appointments and you go, wow, we don't have any work numbers. Appointments, work numbers tied to BDC manager. Hold them accountable. Go to the floor. Unsold showroom traffic. If there's no work numbers on unsold leads, that's on the sales manager who took the TO. Because we're both actively engaged in that step. Also, 70-30. What the heck does that mean? Well, look in your CRM on a daily basis. No more than 30% of your ups that you have logged in CRM can be sold. In other words, 70% should be unsold. National closing ratio is more like 17 or 19, but most dealers are going to say 30%. So we'll go with 30. So how do you know you're logging your ups? Run 70-30. Look in CRM. If it's things like we had 5 ups yesterday, we sold 4, you're not logging everybody. We're not that good, okay? So leave here and give yourself an internal checkup to see where you are. 70-30, great pulse. Boom, 70-30 with a work number on unsold showroom traffic. Man, I got it going. Leave, establish your hourly call standards, right? Yeah. And watch lead distribution. Make sure that the people that are getting your leads are really good, right? Don't just give them because they're there. That's the same thing what we did on the floor. So earning up. I think it's extremely important. So expensive. Prospecting. I think that's what I'll be known for my whole life. You got to prospect, kids. You have to prospect. You have to. You have the legal right. Prospect. What's the absolute worst thing that happens if I said, who do you know that I could help? Customer says, no one. Life moves on. All right? If you don't have a BDC, where do you start? Because that's huge. 70-30 still applies. Start seeing if you're logging your ups and your opportunities. Creating a business model, which is huge. Start with things like priority of contact. Who are the most important people to call and when? How much time is dedicated towards that? How do I determine how many reps that I need? It's big. A part-time caller working 6 hours can handle 100 internet leads in a month. If you're going to add in things such as inbound service calls, we need the model to be able to say that if I'm at a high pace, meaning I probably receive, let's say, 2 calls every hour for inbound service, I'm going to be able to handle more like 75 internet leads. If it's 4 calls in, my internet leads will be half of that, 50. So there's a model and a science to it. You don't want to put in 2 reps and have them have no time for prospecting. All they do is respond to leads, respond to leads. Because again, even if they're better than your salespeople, your growth is going to be minimal. And this is a new year. I know we're all thinking the same thing. How am I going to get that 40% growth? My manufacturer's saying I've got to get 30%. How do I do it? It doesn't come from spending. It doesn't come from spending a ton of money. It comes from working really smart. I think as an industry, we've really worked really hard for so many years. We just don't work as smart as we could. Okay, well, there you go. So I call this my wheel of perfection. If you have a BDC, and if you're going to decide to put in a BDC, these handouts are nowhere available. So I would print this because this is a good checkpoint to say, if you have a BDC, if one of these areas are not in full motion, that's why you're not seeing the growth you hope. So let's take a peek at those. And we'll start at the top, which says, number 1, we just went through it. BDC appointments with work numbers. That's one of your checkpoints. Make sure that you've got a work number. Service appointments set every 90 days, and keep in point, it's for sold customers but unsold as well. Remember, we service everybody, whether they buy from us or not. It doesn't matter. Okay? So every 90 days, is your CRM set up to repopulate an unsold lead? Please go back and remove things such as dead, future, not in the market. Hey, customer buys a car. They go to your competitor and they buy your car at a different store. What do you do with it? I'm sure most of you get frustrated going, followed that guy for 3 weeks and that son of a gun bought somewhere else dead. Okay? Don't think that way. Be smart. Come on, think about it. That guy he bought from, we'll probably call him once, right? Maybe twice. Let him go. But you're going to work the other side, because I know one thing. Look at motor vehicle registration. Okay? Somebody buys a vehicle. As soon as that other household member can afford it, they're going to get one. And I guarantee that guy that sold him a car for no money, right, is going to give up on him as well. We're going to follow it. So if somebody bought somewhere else, I'm still going to take care of them. I'm going to find out who else in their household I can help and who else do they know I could help. Because I'm forward thinking. That's a BDC rep. Oh, sold referral sheets. It's one of the, in our packets, you guys have these, you can download it, but it's amazing. So every time in your store you sell a vehicle, you should be presenting a referral sheet. The salesperson presents it. They present it. It's a huge thing that occupies not only the time space, because a lot of consumers complain when they buy cars it takes too long. So this sold referral sheet occupies them productively. So while you're running around trying to get the paperwork together, they're doing their paperwork, which is a referral form. One thing I know, the salespeople, they hate calling those because it's cold calling to them. So what do you do to work smart? I sell a car. I present the referral form. Referral form goes back to my manager, and what happens? BDC picks it up and we call. So how great to be a salesperson today, isn't it? Man, I come to work, I put some people in CRM, you call them for me. I sell a car, I put a referral sheet, you call them for me. I love it. I love it. How many of you have salespeople that are always saying, if you sell 20 cars a month or 30 cars, you're a high-performing person, right? Consistently doing that, you won't have time to make all these calls. You won't. Now you finally have someone that will, but not at their internet team only. Unsold showroom traffic with work number, color code your daily appointments, 100% live TO, and ooh. How do you start your day right now? How many of you have a BDC? Okay, those of you that do have a BDC, how do you start your day? Traditionally, I'm going to guess you respond to internet leads, you confirm appointments, and then you start moving into the outbound calls. You're missing one of the most critical parts of your day, and that is you start the day by meeting with sales management. And not to say, here's your appointments, and then go back to your room. What you should say is, go right up to the desk, sit beside whoever's there, and say, log in the CRM. We're going to look at the content of the opportunities today. Because what I'm saying to you subtly is, I'm transferring ownership to you. I did my part, you do yours. How many of you guys get yelled at because you brought in a customer on a car we don't have in stock? Come on, I've seen that all the time. Why did you guys bring a customer in? We don't have that car anymore, and all the customers all mad. Blah, blah, blah. Here's where you're missing it. It's that morning touch base with management. So I come to work first thing in the morning, and I'm like, okay, Bob Peterson's coming in at 10 a.m. on a truck we don't have. Do you want him in? I guarantee you most sales managers will be like, well, I could probably flip him into something else. Let's bring him in. So BDC doesn't determine. We don't look up availability unless they're a distance away. I just assume availability. And then I'm going to ask sales management to decide that. Because I can always cancel an appointment all day long. I know one thing. I've transferred that ownership. Therefore, no one's blindsided. They're not going, why'd you bring him in? I already knew you were coming in. I have a plan. Give sales managers a chance to even call the customer if they wanted to find out, hey, is there flexibility here? Right? Are they willing to put down a deposit and we'll go find it? But we work together. So watch your signs. If you don't meet with management, you have a problem. Right? And don't meet with them on surface. Here's your 10 appointments. Look at content. Because when that BDC manager walks away, then an effective sales manager will do what? They'll page out salespeople. Say, all sales to the tower, come here. And they come over and they go, what? Here's what we got going on today. Think about it. Anybody in here a sales manager? It's a tough job. It's hard to motivate salespeople all the time, isn't it? Because you're thinking, who's motivating me? That's how you motivate salespeople. It's called seeing the money in advance. I see my appointments. I know at least half are showing. I got my name on a couple. I'm going to have a good day. We have to eliminate the guess game, which at the end of the day is why we have a BDC, for consistent traffic and sales and service. That's it. So what you have to do when you're creating your model is you have to decide how are you going to get your goals, right? If you need to sell 10 cars today, do you know how many cars you need to sell? Today is Thursday. So how many cars do you need to sell on a Thursday? Let's just say it was 10. How many appointments do you need confirmed to sell your 10 cars? How many would that be? So it would be 40. 40 appointments, 20 show, 10 buy. If I asked you right now to log in your CRM, how many appointments do you have? I'll bet it's probably like 7, 6. So get rid of the hope and get into black and white, because that's how you're going to grow. 40 appointments, 20 show, 10 buy. And my gosh, if the miracle happened, we had a fresh up arrive in the store without an appointment who has good credit, and we actually sell them a car, it's like, what was that? That's a fresh up. We hardly see those. Just don't continue frustration if you're thinking, man, we're not getting our goals. I have a BDC. I've had one for 6 months. Why isn't this working? Well, let's take a look at the wheel here, kid. Don't leave the workshop and not try to commit to something to change. Make the numbers work for you. There are dealers that do this, and they do it extremely well. Be one of those. Follow this wheel. It will help you. And then my favorite, appraisals for tomorrow's service customers. Now, we set that up a lot in stores, but I can see breakdown where the customer's in the back and they're forgetting about moving to the front. So I highly suggest that when you have a consumer who approves the appraisal, immediately alert that sales manager to assign to a salesperson. So complete the triangle. But it's awesome. Old school days, what do? We assigned a salesperson to hang out in the service department, which was terrible. I always said it's like the movie Jaws. Everybody see the movie Jaws, right? Okay. All right. Remember what was the music right before the shark? Bam, bam, right? Bam, 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 bam. Okay. That's what happens when salespeople have to work the service drive. Okay. Consumers standing there with the advisor, and you're that kind of shark guy behind. Bam, bam. What kind of car you got in for service? Bam, bam. How many miles are on it? It's like, we don't want to do that. Consumers, we want to know in advance. This is who and this is why, and I'm going to be meeting with you tomorrow. By the way, what's missing in your vehicle? You'd like in something newer? It's professional. I love it. What's the worst thing? Consumer says, not interested. Not a problem. Thank you for your loyalty and service. We'll see you tomorrow. Hoo-hoo! I like it so much. So, great news. It's all around you. Doesn't have to be hard. Doesn't have to be difficult. It's all around you. Just try very hard for you to not get frustrated and give up. Look at the skill set. Take a pulse. Take each one of your BDC reps and let's do a little quiz, right? Sit them down beside you and say, ask me for referral. You don't even know me. Ask me for referral. What's household prospecting, right? Do they know how to do it? If they don't, teach them. If they do, hold them accountable, right? For results. Leave here and manage by hour. That's the easiest thing to turn it up. And remember, there's highs in the business, there's lows in the retail business. High, selling cars, right? Low, not selling anything. And remember, being that salesperson, okay? You spend 12 hours on a floor and you sold nothing, and you go home and you live with someone. What's the first thing they say when you're in sales and you live with someone? What'd you sell? Okay? It's usually, how was your day, which is code for what'd you sell today. It's just code word. So, day one, you didn't sell anything. You go, I didn't sell anything, but Peter didn't and Mary didn't either. Safety in numbers. Okay, we all failed. But tomorrow's a new day, so there's hope. Day 2, 12 hours, no sale. Day 3, no sale. What's going through that salesperson's mind? Am I in the right career, correct? They go home at the end of day 3 not selling. The person that they live with says, what'd you sell today? And they go, back off, because now I'm frustrated. And part of them starts thinking about getting a job at another store because that's where the ups are. BDC is there to eliminate that. If you're thinking, I'm a salesperson, how do I get more opportunity for me? Load more people in the CRM. If you get frustrated because your dealership, their salespeople do a really poor job at using CRM, then force their hand to do so because that's the only way we communicate. Watch when a salesperson calls into the BDC going, what's up with my customer? I see that appointment on the board. Tell them, look them up in CRM. It makes it work together. Left hand, right hand. Let's face it, automobile sales, dealerships, it's fun. It's a rockin' great place to be. Wonderful, wonderful career. You guys have all the power. You do. But you have to change. And it's up to you to commit. So who has questions, concerns, or comments? All right. Well, I appreciate the opportunity very much. Enjoy the convention. Make it the best for you and for your team. I'm Joni Stuker-Brown. Thank you.